Hello everyone, my name is Ayman. Today in this lab we will test connectivity between two pieces on different subnet. So you can see this figure on the right side. We need to create the same one and to make the configuration for the routers. So you can see we need to prepare first the network, the first part. So first we need to select the router. So if you go to the routers group, so we need to select the same model, which is 1841, and just drag and drop the router here. The same thing with the second router, and also we need to select the switch, which is 29, 50, 24 ports. So if you go to the groups for the switch, and here we can select this model. Then the last one, we need to select the two PC. We go to the end devices and select the PC 0 and PC 1. So now we selected the right devices we need in this network. So the other thing, they ask to add models to the each routers. So the first one is HWIC2T. So if you go to the router, one click. So before that, I want to show you the ports we have in the router. So if you put the mouse on it, so we have the fast Ethernet 0/0 and fast Ethernet 0/1. And the same thing with the second one. And the link show it is down, which means it is turned off. I want to show you this before we add the new part. So when you go click on the router 0, and we go to the to see the interface for the router, you can see this is like the real one. So we have two slots to add models, and to add them, so we need to select the first one, HWIC2T. So we go to the models here. You can see click on it, you can see the interface, how it look like. So this one, the HWIC2T, so this one provide 2-port serial high-speed WAN. So to add them, so just click how it look like here and add it to the slot. But we will get error here because the device is still on. So we need first to turn off, then add the slots. If you make zoom on to show you how to do that, this one, the power for the device, the router. So we need one click on it to turn off, then add the slot. The same thing with the second slot. So we need to add the HWIC 4ESW, which provide 4 extra switching ports. When you click on it, you can see how it look like, and you can again drag and drop it here to get these ports. After we add them, so we need to turn on the router. So now you can see, if you make the mouse on it without a click, so you can see all the ports. So you can see the extra for fast Ethernet 0/0/0 and the serial 010 and 011. And if you click on it and go to the config, you can see all the ports here, the default one and what is we added. So the same thing do in the router 1. So before I add the models, you can see we have interface just 2, 0/0 and 0/1. And when you go to the physical, first we need to turn off then go to the HWIC2T and drag and drop it, and HWIC4ESW, and again drag and drop it and turn on. You can see it is still booting, need time to add them. So the same thing, if you put the mouse on it, you can see all the ports. So now we finish to add the two models. Now we need to connect the network, connect them. So I need to select the cables for them. So if you go to the connections, I need to select here. We have this one, the serial DCE. So when you click on it and you click on the router, you can see all the options we have. So if you want to use the same connection as the figure, so we need to select the serial 010. This one. One click to select it. Another click on the in the second router, you have the same option, and then select the same serial, which is 010. So you can see selecting the same number, 010, 010. And we need then to select the cables between the fast Ethernet. So if you go to the click on the copper straight through, so we need to click on it. Then we go to the routers, one click on the router, and I select the same port, which is 0/0. Then on the switch, I will select the first one. Here, because we have 24 ports, you can see from the 1 to the 24, I will select the first one, similar to the figure. Then the same cable, again, we added from the switch to the second device. You can see here, you cannot see the 0/1 because it's not available. It is connected to the router, but you can see from the 0/2 to the 0/24. I will select 0/2. In the computer, I have just one option for the fast Ethernet. So now you can see, if you put the mouse on the switch, you can see there is the same thing, the 24 ports. Again, the same thing with the second router. We need to select the fast Ethernet 0/0. Then in the switch, I select the same one. You can select the other numbers, but I want to keep the same ports, the same interface number, to be easy to configure. It is take time to be green, active. So you can see this one, both of them green, but this need time. The other one, you need to configure the interface in the router to be green. So I finished the connect. If you cannot see the interface number, so you can active this from the options, go to the performances, and from here you can active or not disable. So always show ports labels in the logical workspace. So just click on it, you can see all the interface number. So now the next step, I will add all the IPs here to be clear to me when I configure the network. So I will click here for the nodes, and I will click on the router. I will put all the IPs first, then I will explain on it. Sometimes if you have mistake in this number, sometimes you can fix it, sometimes you cannot. If you cannot not, just delete it and add a new one. In this example, I have the IP for the PC is 192.168.0.11. I will repeat again the default gateway here. On the second PC, I have 192.168.122/24. I back to the mouse to the click. So now I can move all the IP to be in the right place. So first of all, this one network start with the 192, which is class C. So class C, as you know, the default mask will be /24, which is 3,255, then 0. So we have 3 bytes for the network and 1 byte for the host. This is the default. We will keep the default, we will not change it. But here we have 3 networks. So as I said, we have 3 bytes for the network, 192.168 and 0, for example. So this is network 0. So this is one network, and the second network 1. On the third network, this one between the 2 routers, which is a 3. On the default gateway, this one for the interface, when you connect to the other network by the router. And the same, I put here again the same default gateway. So this is briefly about the IPs. So after we finish the IPs, now we put the IPs in the figure to be easy to configure. I will start with the part 2. So part 2, configuration of router 0 and 1. So if you want to click on the router and you go to the CLI, so here we need enter, and first we need to enter the enable mode and the global configuration mode. So we need just to type enable. It is changed to the hash, which means we access the enable mode, then configure terminal. Okay. I'm not sure what the mistake was, but yeah, now it is okay. We access the configure. Then we need to change the router name. We write host name as one word, then R0. So now you can see from the router to the R0. This is the name. So now we need to access to configure the interface. I will start to configure this one, then this one for the router 0. So we need to access to the interface first. So the interface FA0/0. So it is access to the interface. And now we need to add the IP. The IP here 192.168.0.1 and space 1 space and add the default subnet mask. As I said, we have 3 bytes for the network and 1 for the host. Then we need to ensure to keep it on, so no shutdown. So now it is okay. Then we need to access to the serial interface. So we need to type the number. Then we need to add the IP the same way. So 3.1, and we add the default subnet mask. Then after we add the IP, so because we selected the DCE, so we have one side with the clock. So we need to configure this, configure the clock rate. So we need to type, and we will select 64,000. So, and then the last one, no shutdown. So again, this one just for the side with the clock. The other one, we don't need it. So now we finish the configuration for the IP. So you can, if you want to see what you did, so we need to use show IP interface brief. Sorry, we need before that we need to exit from this mode to back again to the router. Then yeah, show be brief. Okay, so now you can see the IP for each interface. Okay, so this one for the 00, and this one for the 010. This is the two IP we configured now, and you can see it is configured already. Okay, and if you put the mouse on the device, you can see the same thing. So you have the IP for each one. So we finished to configure the IPs in the router 0. We will go to the router 1. So when click, go to the CLI and enter. So if you ask, you need to select no. Okay. So now enable first, then configure terminal. And the first thing, we need to change the host name. R1. So you can see it is changed. Then we'll start with the interface. So the first one we have, I will start with the 010. So you can see here, before I put the IP, it is red, so it is not connected. So when you configure the router in both interface, so this one already connected with the switch, do not need to configure it, so it's okay, so green. But this one, they waiting the other side to configure to be green. Now when I put the IP, (192.168.32), this is the IP for it. space 255, 255, 255, 0. As you see, there is no clock here, so I will show you what happens if we put the clock in the wrong place. Again, there is no clock here, so you do not need to do this step, but I will show you what happens if you put in the wrong place. So we'll show you this one only for the DCE interfaces, which is the other side only. So it is, you don't need to do it here. Now shutdown. You can see now it is green after I turn on. So both sides now it is green. I will go to the other interface, which is the FA00, and this is the IP for it. So because this is the IP, I will show you if you put the wrong IP, how you fix it. So I will put wrong IP. So here the IP is 192.168. It should be 11. I will put 00. And the default subnet mask. I will put 0. I will put, for example, 1. I just mistake one number for the network. So now if I want to check the IP, show IP brief, show IP interface brief, will show you the IPs for the IPs for the router. So you can see, okay, now we discover, oh, this is the wrong one. So you need to select the right one. How to fix this? So in this case, we need to go again to the same interface, which is 00. So again, I need to go to we already enabled the router here. So we need to access to the configure terminal. Then we need to access to the interface. So we have, as I said, we have the FA0/0. So now to fix this, we need first to type the same one, but we add before it no IP. Zero one, okay. So I repeat the same, the command for the configure the IP, but I added before it no. Then I need to write the right one. Which is 1 and the default subnet mask, this one. I copy the IP, and the 24, it means 3 bytes for the 255. Now shutdown again. So now it is finished the configuration. If I go to the check the brief, so show IP interface brief, so you can see we have the right one. So 00, this one with the IP this, and 010 with this IP. You can see this became green after I configure it. So now the IPs is configured, all of them, for the routers. If you put the mouse on any IPs, so you can see It is the IP for each interface configured. It will show you, and it is up the link, which mean on. The same thing for configure for the router 1 and router 0. So now we need to configure the PC. So when you want to click on the PC and go to the desktop, then IP configuration. So you need to put the IP for the PC here. In my case, 192.168.0.11. The default subnet mask will be automatically created when I want to click. So you can see. As I said, this is the default subnet mask. If you use another one, so you can change it here. They add the default one, but you can change it. We need also to add the default gateway to know the network, how it is go to other networks. So 192.168.0.1. So this is the default gateway, which is the same the IP for this port, because this port, which is connect this network with the other networks. So because this is a default gateway. So we need to add the IP again. The subnet mask is automatically added, and we need to put the default gateway. Okay. Then if you need, for example, to rename the PC, so you can go to the config, and in the display name we can add the name you want. In this case, I just put admin 1. You can see it is update quick. So if you put the mouse on the PC, you can see the IP which is configured and show you the IP and also the default gateway. If you put the mouse on the other PC which is not configured yet, you can see there is no IPs. So again, on the PC, click desktop IP configuration. We need to put the IP here, 192.168.1.22. This is the IP in my case, and also I need to put the default gateway. After the subnet mask automatically added, the default gateway here, 192.168.1.1. And go to the config to change the name. So the display name, PC1, I will change it to the admin 2. Can see, updated. So now we finish configure all the names. So we need to do now the first test. So click on the PC admin 1 or 2, anyone, and go to the desktop, then to the command prompt. So we need to type ping, and we put the IP for the other PC to try connected. So this is the PC 192.168.1.22. The ping show you I cannot, the destination host unreachable, and this is expected. The ping fail because neither router knows the remote LAN. So when the PC0 sent traffic to PC1, it sends to its default gateway for router 0. So router 0 checks its routing table. So without a routing protocol or static routes, the router 0 only knows its own connected networks, not the remote LAN behind R1. So you cannot see anything after R1 because we did not configure the routing. So the packet gets dropped. That's why cross subnet connectivity fails until we add routing. So this is the reason why it is fail. So how to fix this? So we need to enable the routing information protocol, for example, the RIP. This is one example for the routing for the protocol to use to other routing. And we need to define the networks which is connected for each routers. So to do that, when you click on the router and we need enter, enable again. So now we need to access again to the configure terminal. After that, now we need to start with the router RIP. So now we access to the router RIP. So for this router, this one connect to the two networks. So this network, which is 0, and this network, which is 3. So to configure this, I need to add the network ID in this router for both. So the network ID for this network, it will be 192.168.0.0. This is the network ID for this network. And the network ID for this network, it will be 192.168.3.0. So network 192.168.0.0, and the same, but we need to change to the 3.0. So now we add the two networks here. The same thing we do in the router 1. So access to the configured mode, then access to the router, and here again we need to add the network. So here we have two networks, this one, the 1 and the 3. So we need to add 192.168.1.0 here. Sorry, network. One zero. So this is the ID for this network, and 192.168.3 for this network, and again 0. So you can see both this network, the 3.0, should be root in both routers, because this is the connection between these two routers. If you want to see the show IP route, oh sorry, again I need to exit first. So you can see to show the RIP here. So the R is for RIP. The R here, you can see it is connect the other network 00, this one, by the 3.1, this one. And they show you also the serial. So this means this configure, they can access to this network by this IP and this interface. To do the test again, go to the, click on the PC, then desktop, then command prompt, and we repeat the same IP, the same command ping, and the IP for the other PC. And wait, need to update always the network connection. So you can see now it is successful. This means the network between the PC 0 and 1, it is successful. It was not. Here you can see before we configure the RIP routes. So finish the ping test 2. The last thing I want to talk about it here about the table. If you want to fill like this table, and every table they have the device interface, the IP subnet mask default gateway. For example, the router 0, this one, they have the interface FA0/0, and serial 010, the other one. And we need to put the IP. For example, the IP for the 0/0 is 192.168.0.1. And the subnet mask, it is the same one for all the network, 255.255.255.0. We don't have default gateway here. On the other port, for example, the SE for the router 0/10, and also the IP, this one, the subnet mask, the same, and we don't have default gateway. The same thing with the router, with the other router. The PC 0 and 1. The PC 0, for example, this one, we have the interface, this one, FA0, the IP for it, this IP, 011 in my case, and the default, the subnet mask, 255.255, the same, the default one, 255.0. Only the PCs, we have the default gateway, which is this one, 192.168.0.1. And the same thing with the PC2. But in the routers, we don't have. Because the default gateway, as I explained, this is the connect for this network with the other networks. So this network here connects with the other networks by this interface, and this is the default gateway in this case. So this is briefly about the practice for today. I hope it is easy for you to do it. So yeah, thank you for watching. See you next time.